Way to go, Frank White. 5 words I never thought I'd say, but here we are. I surprise myself sometimes. 6:35, happy Friday morning. It is great to be going into the weekend with you on KCMO 95.7 FM. You can stream us on the KCMO Talk Radio app. So Jackson County Executive Frank White vetoed an ordinance that was passed by the county legislature earlier this week to restrict 18 to 21-year-olds from buying pistols or semi-automatic rifles. Of course, the Jackson County legislature, and there was only one no vote on this. It was Sean Smith, who will be on the show at 7:50 this morning. The only guy who voted no on this in the entire legislature. Can you believe that? They were trying to write their own gun laws in Jackson County. They don't realize that is not how this works. You don't get to just willy-nilly override state law with gun laws in your own county. I mean, the cities tried to do it. They would love to do it, and they fail every time. Why do you think Quentin Lucas is not jumping to Jackson County's defense here over the last couple of days? So Frank White vetoed this legislation, and he sent it back to the legislature because he knows that this is in direct violation of state law, and there's no way you could possibly justify having a ban like this in Jackson County, Missouri. Didn't stop him from trying, but it was never going to work out. It was never going to be legal. And Frank White, to his credit, said as much. He cited significant legal conflicts and impracticalities. White returned the ordinance to the legislature, explaining in a formal veto message that it remains fundamentally flawed, unlawful, and counterproductive. Holy cow. Frank White nailed it. He then goes on to say here in a statement, while I am steadfast in my commitment to protect our community, I cannot support legislation that is unlawful, unenforceable, and exposes Jackson County to costly legal battles. I have never hesitated to challenge the state when it serves the public interest, as evidenced by our prior opposition to House Bill 85. I don't know what that is. But we must ensure that our actions are both necessary and legally sound, and that's what matters here. He knows it's unlawful. He knows it will open them up to costly legal battles. He also knows it's incredibly unenforceable. And there's nothing legally sound about it. So good on Frank White. I really do respect him coming to this decision. Even if it's partially because he can't stand the people who proposed the legislation, most notably Manny Abarca on the Jackson County legislator, who you are going to hear from here in this package from Woke 41 Action News. Let's go through this from Woke 41 here in town, and I'm going to stop and go as we roll through this package from last night's nightly news.
32% of Kansas City's homicide victims this year were younger than 24. It's a concerning trend groups like Grandparents for Gun Safety want to see go down.
Why would you want somebody whose brain is not finished to have access to a firearm?
Okay, do you want to apply that then, lady, to voting? Do you want to apply that to driving a car? Do you want to apply that to serving in our military? It's funny how the same people that say, hey, you can't own a gun until you're 22 or 23, also firmly believe that if you want to chop your private parts off at 12, the government shouldn't stop you. I don't know. I find that a little bit hypocritical, don't you? Like many of us sit here and say, hey, if you want to do what you want to do with your body, that's cool, but you got to be an adult, right? You got to be 18 before you start altering your body. We do that with tattoos, but for some reason when it comes to the craziness of the transgender stuff, we say, oh, yeah, kids, sure. I mean, you do you. No. If we're going to have the conversation about when the brain is fully developed, that's fine. But, you can't be sending kids into the military at 18 and then tell people you can't have a gun until you're 22, 23, whatever it might be. So the holes in that argument right there obviously are tenfold. Let's continue.
Manny Abarca has been fighting to pass a law that bans anyone under 21 from buying a pistol or semi-automatic rifle since the Chiefs Super Bowl parade shooting.
We've been looking for pathways for least resistance, but also willing to take on the resistance, knowing that the outcome could mean a safer community for Jackson County.
Could mean. Could, the key word there in the commentary by Jackson County legislator Manny Abarca. Can't guarantee it. Doesn't even know if it's going to happen. But it could mean so. It could do it, so therefore we must. And it's fascinating to me that the guy is pushing for this restriction on pistol sales for 18 to 22-year-olds in the name of, well, look at what happened at Union Station at the Super Bowl parade. When, if you know anything about what happened at the Super Bowl parade, one of the main suspects is 23, which doesn't even qualify as somebody who would have been prevented from having a gun in Jackson County under your new proposed ordinance, John.
Wouldn't this require the guy selling it out of the back of his trunk there to ID the guy?
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The kids aren't going to the gun shop anyway.
Yeah. They're getting them illegally.
Mm-hmm.
We all get how this works. They're not, going down to the corner shop, picking up their new weapon. That's not how this works. Everybody with an ounce of common sense knows that. What this is really about for Manny Abarca and other people is just their war on guns. And this is their excuse to do it. They will use tragedy to continue to, first off, get attention for themselves, as sad as that is. And then on top of that, what they'll also use it for is to promote policies that they want to achieve. Tragedy to achieve policy, even if those policies will in no way prevent the next, God forbid, Super Bowl parade shooting from happening.
But the proposed ordinance goes against Missouri law that an 18-year-old can own a gun. That's one of the multiple reasons Jackson County's executive vetoed the bill, also claiming it's unenforceable and contradictory.
Frank White's not a king of the county, so the legislature will look to override his veto on Monday.
There are potential...
So these guys are going to override the veto of Frank White potentially. I don't know if they're going to have the votes to do it. I hope they don't have the votes to do it. Frank White still does have many allies on that legislature. But I love that line there. Frank White's not the king of the county. I mean, trust me, he's not. I wish he had less power than he currently has. He has not been a good executive. But at the same time, I mean, this is like Dumb and Dumber here dealing with these people. It really is an incredibly unimpressive group top to bottom. From Manny Abarca to Frank White.
Lawsuits that could come with reapproving the ordinance.
I think it would be a real uphill battle for the proponents of the ordinance to defend it.
UMKC law professor Alan Rostron says it's unlikely contradicting laws can exist at the same time.
Someone would have to come up with a really creative, clever argument that I and others haven't thought of yet.
It's a battle legislator Abarca says he's willing to take up in the courts.
Maybe we need to go to the state and say, why aren't you allowing us to govern ourselves when we know what we want to do in Kansas City and in Jackson County, and that's regulate guns.
County Executive Frank White Jr. declined an on-camera interview following his veto announcement.
Okay, well, why don't you let us govern ourselves? That's not how it works in this country. The states have the power. The counties and the cities are largely irrelevant. You're not your own little fiefdom. You're not your own entity. You're not your own state. The states have the power in the United States of America. That's how it works. This notion of like we're going to write our own laws that supersede state law. No. Do you want to stop getting state funding while you're at it? Like, how far do you want to play this game? Trust me, it's not going to work out well for you. So these people throw things against the wall, they wait to see what sticks, and then they try to get TV time out of it as well. At least some of them. 913-408-7957. So this is on hold for now. We'll see if on Monday the legislature does override Frank White's veto, in which case they are going to waste potentially hundreds of thousands of your taxpayer dollars on lawsuits to fight something we all know is unlawful. But for some of these people who genuinely are just doing this for their own political futures, they don't care. As disturbing as that is, they just don't care. And that's why, if you have any of these people, if you're a Jackson County resident, I would be calling up your legislator and telling them, hey, listen, I don't want you going down this road. I don't want you overriding Frank White's veto on Monday because regardless of the fact that I don't agree with it, on top of that, it's going to cost us a tremendous amount of money potentially in lawsuits. Sherry's in Overland Park. Go ahead, Sherry.
I have a feeling this is a bunch of liberals that are a threat to democracy.
Oh, yeah. You know, it does sound like a threat to democracy, Sherry. Thank you very much. Well done. Is that what we call a threat to democracy? Might be. 913-408-7957. Very well done there, Sherry. Nice job. 6:45. Happy Friday. As we roll till 7 o'clock, that's when Kendall Gammon will join me on KCMO. We'll also have, as I noted, next hour, Sean Smith, a Jackson County legislator, to talk about this policy as well here on KCMO. In the meantime, we also have to get to the money that is being dumped into Power and Light and what that's all about coming up on 95.7 FM. You got Frank White out here saying, hey, listen, we are not going to try to override state law with our gun ordinances in Jackson County. So there is hope. There is hope. That is great news that came out yesterday from the executive's office. You've got then the legislature coming out and saying, oh, well, you know what? Fine. We're going to override your veto coming up on Monday. We'll see if it happens. Jim's out east. What's up? You're on KCMO, Jim.
Hey, Pete, you know, you said call our legislators, but wasn't it Manny Barkus that told us that we don't know how to vote because he wanted to still take down the Jackson statue?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. You're too dumb to realize that you have to take down the statue of Andrew Jackson that was triggering people as they'd walk by the inanimate object. Good point.
And another thing, why don't we regulate marriage? You can't be married until after your brain's developed at 23.
Yep. That's a good point as well. Although, actually, it should technically be different ages for the two genders because I think the female brain develops sooner than the male brain does. So,
no, we're binary.
Oh.
You got to have a definition.
That's a good point. Oh, man. What I'll do is, you know, when they do that, they change the age of marriage to when your brain is fully developed. I'll just start identifying as a woman so I can get married younger, you know?
Wow.
That's how it goes. We're all over the map here, Jim. Hey, it's Friday, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Good day.
All right. There you go. 913-408-7957. It sounds dumb, but listen, if that's the world they want to live in, then I'm going to play their game. I'll just leave it at that. Okay? So, Pete, this is also true on the text line. Federal law states that a person under 21 can't own the firearm, but if someone under 21 owns a firearm or a handgun, they have to have it at their home or use it for ranching. So this ordinance is full of it because people with these handguns in many cases are already breaking the law if they're taking it outside their home and carrying it around. Yes, that's true. Now, this ordinance did extend, I believe, to 22. So it did go beyond the age of 21, but that is a great point to bring up as well on the text line. And I'm glad you did it at 913-408-7957. So we'll see what happens coming up on Monday. We'll talk to one of the only legislator who voted against this ordinance this week, and that is Sean Smith. He will be here 1 hour from now at 7:50 on KCMO. That's why you got to just pop us up on the phone. That way you can carry us throughout the morning if you're in and out of the car. Now, staying in Kansas City, Power and Light getting a facelift, $10 million facelift. They are going to see expanded seating areas, a new exterior canopy, improved lighting, ceiling heaters, and misters to make the area better suited for all weather. Now, the heaters are not a bad idea, okay, because you will get more people out there in the dead of winter with some heaters. But will it be enough to justify a $10 million price tag when the city is still subsidizing Power and Light to the tune of millions of dollars every single year? That's happening. Power and Light cannot function without the city subsidizing it. It is not a self-sufficient operation at Power and Light. I think it's cool. I think it's nice to have if I'm down there for a concert and, you know, you grab a bite to eat or something across the street. But let's be clear. Power and Light is a money loser. And it arguably hurts other parts of town because if you're spending money at Power and Light, it means you're not spending money potentially in River Market, in Westport, in the Crossroads, anywhere else in this town. And then the government still has to fund it to keep it alive. So you're hurting other small businesses and you're spending money from the taxpayers on something that still, 15 years later, does not turn a profit. And now the answer is to dump another $10 million into it. I mean, as much as I like the idea of Power and Light, I don't know how you can justify it. I really don't. Do I think some more people will show up with heaters? Yeah, but here's the thing. When you watch and look at Power and Light during a big Chiefs playoff game, the place is packed. The desire to be at Power and Light is driven by the event that's going on that people want to watch, not typically the weather, John.
No, yeah, you have a point. I mean, that's the percentages, but then we have those times where the Big 12 tournament's here and it's snowing.
Well, yes.
Or, drizzly freezing enough to where that would keep the crowd down,
Yes.
So it would help.
It would help.
I suppose in some instances in March weather in Kansas City, or perhaps a little early winter arrival. That hasn't happened in a couple of decades. But
Well, I think it was, I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago. I was down there, and it was snowing during the Big 12 tournament. I mean, there wasn't 6 inches, but it was flurrying.
No, right.
And you're like, man, this sucks.
Yeah, if it gets into the upper 30s and it's drizzling and sleet, that would help, at least for those types of things. So we've got the World Cup coming. I'm not sure when. I guess the games are in July.
Yeah, that'll be July.
So we better get the misters.
Get the misters up by then. Here's what I just wondered: does it really cost $10 million to put in some heaters and a canopy? That's where I'm struggling.
There's quite a bit more going there, at least with some facility upgrades, making a couple of places bigger, the bars. But I don't go down there because of what's around there. I think they could have more Kansas City friendly things just around that courtyard.
Pizza Bar is also going to see upgrades to its patio and bar. Mosaic Nightclub will get $2.5 million for upgrades. Who the hell? What is with these? There? This is a great lease. What a deal for the tenants. So the taxpayers are going to upgrade Mosaic Nightclub to the tune of $2.5 million? Man, I'm going to open up a restaurant down at Power and Light. That's what I'm going to do. If they're going to fund it, $2.5 million to upgrade the place, that's a steal. Holy cow. Sign me up for that. And then also we're getting a Latin-inspired venue opening up in spring of 2025 that will offer up cocktails, dining, and DJs. Besos y Abrazos is what it's going to be down there at Power and Light. Construction set to begin in November. Renovations expected to be completed before the Big 12 tournament coming up in March of 2025. Okay, so maybe they'll have those heaters in by the Big 12 tournament. That would be great.
And some new TVs, I guess, because those ones are getting outdated down there.
Oh, really? All right. New TVs?
High def on that big screen down there. It might look cool.
Yeah, that might look cool. Sure. Okay. Maybe now they'll turn a profit at Power and Light. That would be nice. Really, that would be.
If we build it, they'll come.
Yeah, that's what we're told. Hasn't proven out true yet, but maybe it's always been about missing the misters and the heat warmers. That's what it's always about, isn't it?